The hospital room was silent, except for the sound of the heart monitor slowing down. And just before my mother closed her eyes for the last time, she whispered 5 words that completely shattered everything I thought I knew about my family. "I kept my promise, sweetheart." At the time, I didn't understand what she meant. 3 days later, I found the box hidden beneath her bed, and inside it was a secret she had carried alone for 23 years. If you enjoy emotional stories with heartbreaking twists, family secrets, and endings that stay with you long after the video ends, subscribe right now. Today's story isn't about revenge. It's about sacrifice. The kind nobody notices until it's far too late. My mother never complained. That's the first thing you need to understand. No matter how bad life became, she carried pain quietly, like suffering was something meant to be folded neatly and hidden away from everyone else. Growing up, we were poor. Not couldn't afford vacations poor. I mean electricity getting shut off in the middle of winter poor. I mean watching my mother pretend she already ate dinner so my little sister and I could split the last bowl of soup. But even then, she smiled constantly. Not fake smiling either. Gentle smiling. The kind that made you believe things would somehow be okay, even when you knew they probably wouldn't. My father died when I was 9. Construction accident. One phone call destroyed our entire world. I still remember the sound my mother made when she got the news. Not screaming, not crying, just collapsing, like her bones suddenly stopped working. After that, everything changed overnight. She worked 3 jobs: morning diner shift, afternoon cleaning offices, nighttime sewing work from home. Some nights I'd wake up at 2 a.m. and see light under her bedroom door. She'd still be sewing, eyes red, hands shaking, coffee growing cold beside her. But every morning, she still packed our lunches with little handwritten notes. "Be brave today. You are loved. Proud of you always." At the time, I thought all mothers were like that. I didn't realize how much she was destroying herself just to keep us afloat. When I turned 16, I got my first job stocking shelves at a grocery store. I wanted to help, but my mother refused to take my money. "You focus on school," she'd say softly. "That's your job." Sometimes that frustrated me. Actually, a lot of things about my mother frustrated me back then. She never bought herself anything. Never rested, never dated, never seemed to want a life outside of us. And when I asked why, she'd always answer the same way: "Because I made a promise." That was it. No explanation, just those words. A promise. Eventually, I stopped asking. Years passed. I went to college on scholarships and loans. My sister became a nurse. And slowly, life improved. Not dramatically, but enough. Enough that my mother finally didn't have to work herself to exhaustion anymore. Or at least, that's what we thought. Because the strange thing about sacrifice is this: the people carrying it often become experts at hiding the damage. At 58, my mother looked 70. Her hands were swollen from arthritis. Her back curved slightly when she walked. She coughed constantly. But every time we begged her to see a doctor, she brushed it off. "I'm fine," she insisted. She was never fine. One Sunday afternoon, I came home unexpectedly to surprise her. I found her sitting alone at the kitchen table holding unpaid medical bills. She quickly flipped them over when she saw me, too quickly. That moment stayed in my head for weeks. Then came the phone call. I was at work when my sister called, crying so hard I could barely understand her. "Mom collapsed," The drive to the hospital felt endless. Every red light felt personal, every second unbearable. When I finally got there, my mother looked impossibly small in that hospital bed. Machines beeped softly around her. The smell of antiseptic filled the air. Doctors spoke in careful, rehearsed voices people use when the truth is already bad. Late-stage cancer. Aggressive. Untreated for years. Years. My knees nearly gave out hearing that word. Because untreated meant one thing: she knew. She had known for a very long time. When I asked her why she never told us, tears filled her eyes for the first time in years, and she whispered, "You needed the money more." I physically felt something break inside my chest. All those years we thought life had finally stabilized. She'd been secretly using less medication, skipping appointments, ignoring pain, to help pay my tuition, to help my sister buy her first car, to help us build lives she was slowly sacrificing her own to protect. The guilt was unbearable. I replayed every moment I'd been impatient with her, every ignored phone call, every holiday I cut short because I was too busy. And underneath all of it sat one horrible realization: the person who loved us most had been suffering alone. For us. The final week in the hospital felt unreal. Time became strange, slow and fast at the same time. Family members visited constantly. Flowers filled the room. But late at night, after everyone left, it was just me and her. One night, rain tapped softly against the hospital window while she stared into the darkness quietly. Then she suddenly asked, "Do you remember your father's last birthday?" I nodded slowly. Barely. She smiled faintly. "He made me promise something before he died." Her voice cracked. "He said, no matter what happens, make sure the kids get the life we couldn't have." I couldn't speak, because suddenly everything made sense. Every sacrifice, every sleepless night, every dream she buried. She wasn't just surviving. She was keeping a promise to the man she loved, even if it destroyed her. 3 days later, she passed away holding my hand. And just before the monitors flattened into one endless tone, she whispered, "I kept my promise, sweetheart." I completely broke. Not crying. I mean the kind of grief that physically empties you, like your soul suddenly weighs too much to carry. The funeral blurred together. People hugged me, spoke about how kind she was, how strong she was, but none of them knew the truth. None of them knew how much she'd hidden. A week later, while cleaning her apartment, I found an old wooden box hidden beneath her bed. Inside were hundreds of things she'd secretly saved over the years. My childhood drawings, every birthday card we ever made her, report cards, photos, and underneath everything else, letters. Dozens of them, addressed to us, one for every major moment of our lives. Open when you graduate. Open on your wedding day. Open when you become a parent. My hands shook opening the first one. Inside she wrote, "If you are reading this, it means I am gone. But please never feel guilty for the choices I made. Loving you and your sister was never a burden. It was the greatest privilege of my life." I had to stop reading because I couldn't breathe properly. Then I found one final envelope at the bottom of the box. It was addressed to my father. Unopened. Inside was a single photograph of us as adults, standing beside my mother, smiling together at my college graduation. And written on the back were 6 words. They got the life we dreamed. Months later, I became a father myself. And the first time I held my newborn daughter in my arms, I finally understood my mother. Not intellectually, emotionally. I understood what it means to love someone so deeply that your own comfort stops mattering. That same night, after bringing my daughter home from the hospital, I opened the final letter my mother had left for me, the one labeled, "Open when you understand me." Inside, she wrote, "One day you will realize that love is not measured by words, it is measured by what someone quietly gives up for your happiness." I sat there crying in silence while my daughter slept beside me, and for the first time since my mother died, the grief felt different. Not lighter, but warmer. Like her love had somehow survived long enough to reach another generation. Some people change the world loudly, others change it silently. Through sacrifice, nobody notices until years later. And sometimes the greatest acts of love are the ones that leave no evidence behind, except the lives made better because of them. If this story touched your heart, leave a like and subscribe for more emotional storytelling and unforgettable life lessons. And tell me in the comments, what's one sacrifice someone made for you that you didn't fully understand until later in life? I'll see you in the next story.